Here at the Giver Marketing Network, we don't leave you drifting out in space. We connect you to a coach who will help you build and grow your marketing business. Our process acts as a guide on how to connect with other businesses, maintain good relations, and establish a presence on the Giver Marketing Network. Each member within this collaborative group will have the opportunity to leverage your talent and influence, a true network effect. If you are looking to collaborate on more projects, welcome to the Giver Marketing Network, the most trusted and highest rated collective of specialists on the planet. Here we have a group of like-minded professionals who focus on making valuable introductions and helping each other grow by teaming up. Imagine Upwork meets a network and a coach. The talent collectively includes services like visibility and SEO, creating logos, designing websites, managing social media, outreach messaging, visual storytelling, and much more. Think of what you could do with laser-focused allies strengthening your business while offering your talents to the entire network. Click near this video for more information.
Hello, and welcome to another Tuesday marketing broadcast hosted by Giver Marketing Network. And I am excited today. Hey, Jesse.
Hello.
Oh, we're ready to have some fun today. Big shout out to all of our people that we go out and collaborate with. We love partnerships and we love working with other organizations. So we're just going to do a little shout out. Hi, Prepared Group. Let's see. Hi, Kingdom Warriors. Say hi to, oh my goodness. Oh, Unicorn Universe, let alone H7. I mean, we are broadcasting all over the place. So we are just excited to be part of your Tuesday morning. So if you're looking for some insights when it comes to your marketing, you are in the right place. If you're not familiar with the Giver Marketing Network, we have over 100, I think we're close to like 150 at this point, professional marketers that each have their own special area of interest. And we can really dive deep. So when you're looking for something in the marketing space, we have experts. And I'm excited because we have an expert with us today. Jesse, for those that don't know you, and we've known each other for years now, my goodness, You've been part of the market for a while now. Your specialty is one of those that people hear about, think about, but don't always understand, like, how do I do that, right? So thank goodness we have you here. I know you're with Above the Sun, and that's the organization you're with, but what you do is so much more than that. Talk to them a little bit about what you're up to, how you got where you are today.
Yeah, thank you. It's such a good introduction, and so happy to be here. And I really feel honored. As I was telling you a little bit earlier, I feel a little bit like, I'm like, am I a marketer? But then I realized that yes, I mean, my history has been in sales, and I never thought I was even a good salesman. Then I realized, oh, I just need to listen to people's needs and fulfill a need and offer services. And I'm good at that. I'm good at teaching. And so that's my background, is actually in sales. I've done that for many, many years. But then I moved into ministry school. So I kind of took a little bit of a break, and I needed money. And so I started doing marketing my own services. And so I've been a writer and an author for a long time. I've written about 12 books. And I had to self-publish because the subject matter was not quite ready for some publishers, and so we had to do it ourselves. But then when I was in ministry school, I was like, how about I just teach others to do that? And so for about the last 5, 6, 7 years, I've been working as an author mentor and just marketing my own services, from inspiration and publication. I'm kind of a nerd at heart, so I do all the kind of the boring stuff that the authors don't like doing, like web design and platform building and all the things like that. But my passion is connection and relationships, and that's kind of how I market myself, as we discussed as well. So.
Yeah, someone after my own heart. I know for me, my business is the Networking Diva, so really is based on relationships. So that's something we totally have in common. I know that's going to be one of the emphasis that we talk about today, and I'm excited about that. It's one of my favorite conversations to have. And you mentioned education, so your degrees in education. I love that. I taught college myself, so I've got this affinity for the educators. We've got a special place in society of helping others, be the best version of themselves, whatever that is, right? Learning, growing. And so I think as an educator, that probably sets you up really well with the mentoring role.
I think so. Yeah, and that's interesting because I do believe that. So I'm a Christian as well, and I believe that God never wastes anything. And I did think that my years in the corporate world, as well as years in education, I'm like, well, I'm not doing well. I guess I'm directly doing my sales thing with my own business, so that's good. But as far as education goes, I'm not a teacher. I joke because I spent 3 or 4 years learning, the process of teaching, and then I finished my bachelor's, but I didn't finish my master's. And in Oregon, you're required a master's to teach. And so in my bachelor year, or right beginning of my master's, I was in the classroom, and I was like, I just don't want to do this. Like, I realized just this shock moment of like, I don't want to do this. And so I kind of had a pivot. But like you said, all the learning on how to teach has helped me. And I do believe that what's one of my giftings is actually communicating messages. I do make things a bit more complicated than need to be sometimes, but I like, because I like strategy and futuristic and kind of like, brainstorming. That's what I love with authors. I just love the plots and things. But as far as making things simple and teaching authors and other creatives, I absolutely love it.
And I think that's a good avenue to kind of get people to realize that just because you want to teach, you want to help. That's really what the core of teaching is helping. And so when you've got that feeling inside of you that I need to share with others, right? It doesn't have to be in a traditional classroom, right? We have options now. And so the opportunity to coach, to mentor, right? There's a lot of other roles now, consulting, right, that people really hadn't thought of. They always assumed they had to be teaching in a traditional classroom. So I think we've broken that barrier now as entrepreneurs and gotten people to think outside the box and that there's other options. So I always say, just because that's where you were, that gives you experience to where you want to be now today.
It's true. My brother was a caretaker and a manager at Les Schwab's and got prepared to become a pastor recently, or not recently, in the last 10 years. But yeah, I agree. It prepares you. And I mean, I just absolutely, I love it. And I always tell clients as well, I mean, my skill set is authorship, but I move into business coaching very quickly because it's more so that when an author comes to me and says they have a book, the first question is I ask, like, well, why are you doing this? Because one of my mentors, I've always said, who's an author mentor, he's like, the biggest advice I have for authors is to buy a pair of running shoes on Amazon and run in the other direction as quick as possible, because it's so hard, right? And it's you joke, but anything worth doing is hard, right? Anything, right? And so, but what his point was is that why do this? Why go in all this hour? And I would say the same thing about anything. Why do the hard work? And so I ask him, like, well, why be an author? And if it's just to like make money or become famous, whatever, I'm like, well, that's not good enough. Like I mean, I'll still take your money and I'll still help you. But my passion is, well, what are you doing to change the world? Like, what is that thing, that message? And we'll get into kind of that stuff later, but what is that message that is really impactful to you, and how can I bring that out? And like you said, education, and bring out that message and really tap into that theme, and for people, and not just write a book, but actually, change the world, lead a movement, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. That's the way I look at it too. I always have to explain to them, okay, you understand the money is not in the book itself. We aren't all Stephen King, right? And are you planning on having this made into a movie, right? So the money's not in the book. That's part of kind of a leverage for opening doors and using it as a credibility builder, right? And there's a lot of reasons to be an author, but if you're doing it for the money, you're probably in it for the wrong reason.
But you said a good point, is that it's it can sound discouraging, but like you said, it's if you're willing to go in it for the long haul, if you're willing to own your message, if you're willing to write multiple books, if you're willing to speak as well, or I like to build mailing lists for people, build a mailing list and connect with them. You have to be you can't just write a book and hide anymore, let everybody else do it for you. You kind of have to be your own marketer and own your message, and then you can be successful that way. Many people have.
Absolutely. We're going to have to bring you back to talk about building your mailing list. I don't think we've ever had that topic before. That would be a lot of fun because I think it's like a mystery. Like I said, kind of like writing a book. There's certain things that they're like, that sounds like fun, I think, but how do I do it? Right. So I think that's another one of those topics. But you just have that heart for helping people. And I know like you've served on some boards, some organizations. I mean, you are just out there being part of the community. And I love that about you, Jesse.
Yeah. So currently right now, I'm an advisor to the board at Cascade Christian Writers. And I recently took on a role for community, forget what it's called, member services. And so I'm actually working I run a monthly, we call it member circle. And so I just kind of bring on different teachers and share. I also have my own business that I do a monthly thing as well with. But I advise on the board of Cascade Christian Writers. And I have also, I'm becoming on the board of this other organization, South Lane School. And I was not on the board, but I did serve an organization when I was in ministry school. It was a coaching organization. We call it Kingdom Coaching Institute. And so I spent some time doing that. And I love development. I love thinking through and sitting behind the scenes and being that lead from behind, developing kind of person.
I love that. That's what you're bringing to the table for us today. You're bringing all that experience as coaching, giving back. And I really am looking forward to our topic today. What do you think, Jesse? Should we jump in?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. We're going to have some fun today. Let's talk about story-led relational marketing. Jesse, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, it can be a little bit of a mouthful, but at the same time, it's just this idea of how your authentic message can reach the hearts and expand your platform. And as you mentioned, this, who I am and what I do. And I think that, like we mentioned before, off screen, is that marketing has many different facets. And you can go from the hard marketing to soft or whatnot. But I really feel like the most impactful thing you can do is to be relational. And so I'm not the one that coined this phrase, but I kind of merged story-led and relational together. I'm just going to go ahead and share about how your message can expand and help the world, right? So story-led marketing, this is just some things that I find that it does. We'll get into what it is later, but it builds trust with your audience. And this is across the board. You can, whether you're a coach or a leader, business leader, anything, being relational and story-led can build trust. It can create bonds with your people, and it invites interest and connection. The more, this is what I was saying even a bit earlier, even with authors, you can't really hide anymore. I say the same thing about anybody, is that you can't really hide, and nor do you want to. People with the internet and everything getting closer and closer, people want to be closer to you. And I do a lot of teaching on give and get and how close you can get with people. But, so you have to kind of also guard your time. But at the same time, is my mentor, I mentioned, he says you can actually have a personal connection with 10,000 people. And there's ways to do it. I'm not going to get into the specifics on how to do it, but as far as relational marketing, I just want to tell you what it is and how do we do it. But yeah, I believe that we can connect to our audience deeper and more connection.
Well, I know our audience is probably like, story-led relational marketing. What in the world does that even mean, right?
Yeah. And I will, and I'll go right into this next slide very quickly into what it actually is and how to do it. So today we're going to focus on storytelling techniques and also repurposing existing content, like in saying that you may actually already be doing it in a lot of ways. And then also the third part is expanding reach through collaboration. So people have talked about story a lot. And so I want to also just kind of acknowledge them. Like my heroes is people like Donald Miller, who talks about the story brand, and Joseph Campbell, who talks about the hero's journey. And that is really at the heart of what story-led means in marketing. And those people can share it way better than me in some capacity. I'm going to take pieces from them and then also talk about how to make it relational as well. But yeah, at a basic level, you have three parts, and I'll get into each three of the parts. When you're telling your story, so when you are going on blogs or when you are even talking right now on podcasts, there is a way to tell your story that actually engages with your audience. And so there's three parts that I go through, and that is the transformation moment, the teaching moment, and the invitation moment. It's taking somebody on, in a lot of ways, it's the 3-act structure, right? So in a 3-act structure in a story, you connect with it, with the reader, connect with the main character on the day that something changes, that they may be, let's take Lord of the Rings, for example. You have the hobbits, in the Hobbiton, and then all of a sudden you have Gandalf comes in, and that's the day that something changes. Something is unique and different, and that invites him on a noble journey. And so then that noble journey can be a journey of struggle, and that's the transformation into the teaching part. He will overcome something and actually learn lessons from that journey. Then at the very end, you invite your reader, your audience into that. And I'll break down each one of these, make it a little bit simpler. So the first part is the story transformation. Like I mentioned, start on the day that something shifted. What happened and what changed? And so great storytelling starts in the heart, not just the head. Every good story starts when it changes. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just have to be that moment um, of impact. Like, I'll give an example from one of my favorite writers. It's the guy who wrote The Fear of the Lord, and he mentioned about he's at a pastor's conference. This is the opening scene of the book. He's at a pastor's conference, and he is listening to worship, and he's looking around, and he's seeing all the people on their phones and not engaging with the audience, or sorry, with the worship. And he's just has this conviction. It's like, well, we're worshiping God. Why are you distracted? And then all of a sudden he felt wind blow into the place, and he felt the fear of the Lord enter the arena, and actually everybody got very quiet and focused on the Lord. And that's the first chapter. That's to say that something changes. And I've helped other authors and clients start their book. I just recently finished a book from one of my authors called The Church Without Walls, and she had all this backstory. But I'm like, she has this really powerful encounter with the Lord. Her and her husband were in their living room, and that they were wanting to start a new church or leave their current church, and they actually had this moment with the Lord where he actually spoke to them, and it just transformed their lives. So those are the moments you want to capture. Those are the moments to start with that. Like, this is the day that something changed, and this is something that is going to just to grab your reader. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And while you're talking, I'm going, oh my goodness. Yeah. You and I are about connections. That's what we love to do in building relationships. And I was just thinking, oh my goodness, there's some faith-based entrepreneurs and professionals I was thinking while you were talking, I need to introduce you to.
It's good. Yeah. And yeah, good point. My background is very faith-based, but these tactics don't have to always be. I mean, these can work with any number of people. It's just, this is my world, and this is where my examples come from.
Right. And so if that's one of your favorite playgrounds to play, and I always say I help do-gooders. Right. And so many of them are faith-based, but not all of them are. And that's okay, as long as you're on a mission to do good in the world. It's kind of my philosophy on it. But I'm just thinking, if anybody knows any faith-based entrepreneurs that maybe have been thinking of writing a book, right? Jesse might be a really good person to talk to them about them, kind of help them get where they want to go. So just shouting that out right now while it's on my mind. It might be in someone else's mind too. It's okay to reach out to them for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I will love to connect, and I just love sharing examples of this. I know that it may not be as clear, but I'll share a few more examples just to make it a bit more clear of what I mean by transformation. I I'm actually writing a book right now because I just had a baby. And so, and I've been wanting to write this for a long time. And so I'm going to get this out. I don't know if it's going to be this time this year. I'm writing a few other books, but it's how writing a book's like is like having a baby. And so I would start, and the very first is like about my story about, hey, this is me realizing that we're pregnant, and that this now changed my life in a lot of ways. And so I take the whole first chapter just kind of sharing about my emotions behind finding out that my wife was pregnant and all this, and that will then set the stage for the rest of the book of teaching authors how it's kind of like when you get an idea for a book. It's like, oh, you find out that you're pregnant and you just have to get that idea out. And so I'll go on to share more about how to do that in the book through different processes. But
I'm sure all the parents are nodding their heads and relating to that one. They're like, oh yeah, that's a transformational experience. Anybody with kids knows what that's like.
Yeah, exactly. So then we get into the next part here, is the teaching the aha. So this is kind of an easy way, or an interesting way. I'm bringing kind of the education background. There's always that aha moment that they tell whenever you're an educator, that when you're teaching something, your students go, aha, and then they get it. And that's the best thing for teachers, and when the students actually understand it. So I say, whenever you're experiencing, when you are in your act 2, when you're in your struggle, so you're writing your story about, for me, for example, it could be like, well, now that we get excited about having a baby, but oh no, now it's all the struggle and having to overcome emotions. But so I'll tell you my aha moment, and this could be a good example, is even after my baby was born, we've had a little bit of, he was a premature, and so we had a little bit of complications, nothing terrible, but just kind of some scares. And we were in the hospital, and his name is Oliver, and we felt that the Lord gave us that name, and which is a name of peace. And so our aha moment was, during parenting, don't give in to fear of any of this. And I'm sure many new parents experience the same thing, where everything feels like fear. And so it's just that rest of like, what shifted my thinking right here? What did I learn? I learned that I don't need to fear, that it's going to be okay, and I will have what it takes to be a parent. So I didn't really fully decide to teach, from my story. This is perfect. This is current and fresh, what I'm living. And this is what I would encourage people to do as well. When you are sharing your story, be vulnerable and share about what actually, what you learned from the process. So in traditionally in Act 2, so you have the Act 1 where the hobbits, were disrupted, and Gandalf comes in and invites them on the noble journey. Well, Act 2 is that time of struggle, and this is where you can actually share that part of your story, that, hey, I struggled through this. I was in fear, or I didn't realize what was going on. But then truth comes, and this can be scripture, it can be passion, it can be any number of teaching. But this is the kind of the meat of your story.
Yeah, I love the way you mentioned about sharing and being honest and transparent, right? Because this is the struggle. The more honest you are, the more your audience can really relate to it, right? Yeah. If you just breeze over it, you don't really go that in depth in it, you don't really pull that honesty from your heart, right? They don't have a reason to connect with you. And as you're telling your story about, your baby being preemie, right? My grandson was preemie, and my heart is going, oh my goodness, right? Anybody who's been in that situation, right? You already have the parent side of fear, right? Of, oh my goodness, what goes wrong? And then you've got the preemie side, which is like an even bigger level, right? And to be able to transform that, right? And start accepting in your aha that I've got this, it's okay. Faith in the Lord, whatever it is that keeps you going, right? Yeah. But that learning moment right there is something that we can relate to. So when you take people on that journey, you're really just pulling them into your story. So I love how you explain that, Jesse.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly right. And so the final part then, what do you do with that, is I look at the third part is your application, and I call this go and do likewise. And any good story ends with hope. you have, because you want to encourage your audience to have hope and do the same. So it can be a gentle takeaway, a question that helps the reader. What do you want them to see differently, and what they can do to try for themselves. So in a journey of a hero, that there's usually something at the beginning of the story that they can't do, and then by the end of the story they can. And so this is exactly where you share. It's like, well, I was in fear and now I'm in peace. And so this is sometimes the hardest part because it can get very, very cheesy, where you can say, and then go, and then don't be in fear either, but you need to basically somewhat relate to your audience and be empathetic even more so. And this can be like, dear reader, I invite you to do the same, or, um, just like, I encourage you, just when you're in fear, just like pause and rest and give that kind of that action, that call to action. And oftentimes this could be even a takeaway, or you can actually offer something. I know this is where we're in marketing. And so sometimes you tell your story and then you say, well, and this is my book. This is how you can this is how you can find out more. And it's good to invite them to do the first step on their own, but then you can invite them even deeper with like your call to action, your book, your presentation, your class, that kind of thing. But you have to invite them into something. So I would ask a question that, I know we're live, and so normally I have this question, but you can put this in the chat, whether you're late or watching this on a different time. Just say, what are some stories you can tell? What is the transformation? What is your aha moment? And what is your encouragement to others? It doesn't have to be big. They just have to be true. And um, and you'd be surprised that even the least quote unquote powerful moments can actually be powerful, because it's your story and you're just finding the people who actually relate to you. And so I would encourage people to put in the chat.
Yeah, I'm thinking, as you ask that question, sometimes we get so used to our life as our status quo, what's normal for us, that we forget that it's not normal for everybody else. Sometimes we've gone through something that we've pushed away, that we've pushed down, that we've endured, and then we don't bring it up again, right? Because, oh no. So if you have a topic of something you've dealt with that you really don't talk about, there might be a reason why, and there might be something in there that's a gem that you should actually be sharing because other people can relate to it.
Absolutely. And part two of this presentation is, I just wanted to encourage people that you may already be doing this. So taking your story and repurposing it into taking your content, I should say, and repurposing it into that nice story is not always hard. So people, if you've been blogging or making journals, past workshops, voice memos, I would say, look over your content. And I would say people are prone to story, I would say, organically. And so people generally, if you're writing any articles or any journals, that you are probably already tapping into this. And I want to go a little bit deeper and say that there is, and usually, one theme that often is a thread throughout the rest of your content. And then this is something that I also teach clients, and I have a freebie and a book I want to offer to people to help with this. But my brother, who's a pastor, he always says that pastors often only have one message, and he just keeps saying the same thing. He's like, I just keep telling people that God's a good dad over and over again. And so I would say that it's good. Sometimes it's good to do a review of what you've already written. Look at your different journals and find that deep story. I mean, you can tell a story, normal story, but I encourage you to go deep into that deep story of what actually is impactful to you, And because your audience is going to resonate with that more, I'm going to share this book right here. This is called Your Life Theme. And again, it comes from my author mentor. His name is Jim Rubart. And he, a few years ago, actually maybe more like many years ago now, I'm getting older, but he came to me, or he taught a class, and he says, if you give me the top 3 movies, I will give you the theme of your life. And he did this live in front of people. He would ask people their top 3 movies and then help them find that theme. And so I love that. And I just got good at that. For me, my top 3 movies are like Lord of the Rings, The Greatest Showman, and actually even the Lego movie is one of my top ones, which is kind of funny.
That's funny. We have similar tastes.
Oh, really? What are yours?
Oh goodness, those are some of my favorites also, or Gone with the Wind, or
Okay.
right, some of the classics. But while you were talking, I was thinking about, the theme for your life, right? Sometimes we're not even aware,
Yeah.
right? And so thinking about top movies, what a great way to do it. I know recently, on Wednesdays we do networking for marketers. And so people pop in and different conversations happen. And we talked about, I was telling Dustin Stout, the, owner of Magi.co, I was saying, hey, Dustin, you don't have a book. And he's like, you're right, I don't even know what I'd write about. I'm like, Dustin, you have so many things that you write about. And actually, if we go back to your slide there, people should take a screenshot of that.
This
right?
one?
That's gold right there. Your blogs, your journals, your past workshop notes, your voice memos, right? I told him, I'm like, take all your blogs, drop them into AI and ask them for themes, right?
Sure. Yeah.
If you don't know, that's probably the boring way to do it, right? But your way really makes you think, like, what is it all about, right? Why? What are the things in my life? And it becomes, I think, kind of an emergent experience. I think it's probably much more emotionally based when you make that decision.
Yeah.
When you do it this way.
Yeah. And so, and the reason why this works, and so he started that, I call this, even my subtitle for this one is Discover Your Authentic and Marketable Message, because he believes, Jim Rubart, who gave me that idea, is that like attracts like, right? So we're attracted, or we enjoy movies or books or any content, right? This can be done for any content. And I do expand this quite a bit in my book, right? I ask many more questions than just that one to uncover themes. But he says that we are interested in content that resonate with us. So we're all, and I believe that we all have certain themes that resonate. And so when you find your favorite movies, what are the overlapping themes in these movies that you love? For me, Lord of the Rings, Greatest Showman, right, and Lego Movie, they're all first of all community. Again, networking. I love community and coming together. I mean, you have the Fellowship of the Ring, you have all the misfits in the Greatest Showman. Let me do a caveat too. I know that P.T. Barnum wasn't a good person in reality, but the movie was great. So the Greatest Showman.
I like the movie too. I can't argue with you. But the idea of gathering your misfits, gathering your crew, helping them together, having a goal, right? That we could. Yeah, how could you not relate with that?
Yeah, so for me, one of my biggest things, is community, but also belonging, like that you belong. And I love, that's why I even mentioned with my authors, is like, I love tapping into that. What is that? What is your message? Don't just write a book, like, how can you change the world? Like, what's your movement? And not everyone does that, but I think everyone has something to change the world. And so like, just kind of like what the in Greatest Showman is like, what's your act, right? Everyone has an act. And I believe that. And so when we start finding these different themes in our lives, then we can uncover, well, what is my authentic? What do I? And so this would help you when you're creating your stories, when you're writing a book, when you are making content. What is that authentic part of who you are? And then conversely, the reason why the movies thing is so important is because these themes are also marketable, because these are big name movies, right? So it's kind of this thing of like, well, I love that theme, and Lord of the Rings made millions of dollars, right? So it's that theme is marketable as well. I take it a bit further in my book. I ask you things like, just, what is something that you could do over and over again, without any any preparation, or what are you in the moment, like that in the moment that you feel like you're in your element. And so I ask these different questions, and I go through finding themes, even from your past, like what was your favorite childhood memory? And I just kind of pull out all these different questions from your past. And then I ask about your movies and about different content, and even your favorite heroes, even superheroes, or what are the attributes of them. So I kind of go into all these, I expand his idea quite a bit further, and just kind of help you find that convergent theme. So
I love it, because when you've got your theme, now you've got, we're going to say, the theme for your life, right? It can become so much more. It can be the book, it can be the speaking, it can be the coaching, it can be, right, what's your legacy project? Yep. Right. And I think we're becoming more conscious of that as a culture as we move forward. The idea of having a greater purpose and a legacy project and what's important. And it's one of the reasons why, Rajiv and I put together speaking at the UN, right? Because sometimes your legacy project is getting in front of a larger audience and making an impact on the world. Right. Yep. So whether it's a world stage or something smaller in a community stage, we all have that opportunity. So I love that you can inspire that in people.
Yep, perfect. And it goes right into my third point is relational marketing. But I just want to say, you can get this book either the QR code or just go to abovethesun.org, and you can kind of sign up for my newsletter down below there and get this book here. So, and that's Above the Sun. It's ABOVETHESUN.org. But like you said, expanding your reach. And so this is the third part. This is the relational part. And this is of the relational marketing. I believe that relationships are everything. We talked about this over and over again. I believe the kingdom is expanding. Business is expanding. It's entrepreneurship can be boring by yourself, and it's important to, I think it's conducive to work together. Actually, I teach a course called Kingdom Collaboration. It's for Christian entrepreneurs to how to work together. I've co-authored multiple books. I've worked on multiple different these kind of things, that the workshops. I've actually created multiple workshops with different people. I just absolutely love it. So your story.
I love the topic, right? Kingdom collaborations. I love that, because that's exactly it. We don't always know how to team up with other people, but when we do, we can have a bigger impact. So I love this.
We're teaching it again in probably March of 2026. So I will let people know. But
sign up for that newsletter if you want to get that notification when that's coming up, right? Sign up for the newsletter, and you can keep up with all his really cool projects that he's working on and workshops he's involved in. Oh, exactly. I love it. I'm signing up.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. There we go. It's expanding. But yeah, you're not supposed to be by yourself. It's about connection and collaboration. So here's some ways to do it. And I will say that there's two facets of connection and collaboration. This is either with your own audience, and as I mentioned earlier, I do like building newsletters for people and have them connect with their audience. And this is what Story-Led stuff does, is helps you connect with your audience. But this is what I'm mentioning about how to actually leverage or connect with other people who are also doing it. So it's like your story plus their story equals more impact, right? So I tell you, this is what I've been doing, at least recently, with different people, is I reach out to them and say, coaches or other authors in the environment, and I say, hey, what is something that you could actually teach on without any preparation for an hour? And basically asking them, what's the theme of their life? What are they just naturally teaching on? And then they tell me, like this one person says, I just love impact. And so I say, great. Well, you love impact and I love impact. Can we actually work together on that to create a workshop? And we did. It was one of my first workshops we did together. And we both promoted it. I promoted her. I promoted her ministry or her business. She promoted my business, and we actually just leverage each other's brands. And so I say, to me, that was the best types of marketing. And you can do this with blogs. You can go into other people's, because people still read blogs. There's Substacks coming back, and you can kind of just write with other people. And like I said, shared workshops, things that, what are, even if they're different themes, like you actually be surprised how much overlap that different themes can do, and how your audience can benefit from other people's ability. There's a lot of, we teach in our class at Kingdom Collaborations, there's a lot of reasons why you don't want to collaborate. And there's a lot of potentially fear of like, well, maybe they may steal my content, or they may steal my message, or they may water it down. And some of that is true. And so it's important to keep your message strong and whole. But I feel that with the right people, they can actually enhance your message and not squelch it.
Yeah, we always talk about the abundance mindset, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have the abundance mindset and the idea that there's enough for everybody,
exactly,
right, then you're okay. You can collaborate. You're not worrying about other people stealing your stuff or stealing your clients, right? Exactly. So once you get into that abundance mindset, there's opportunities for collaboration when you start looking for them. You just have to be open to it. Then you'll be surprised what you find.
Exactly. And I directly teach on that in the collaboration class too, the difference between abundance or I call it limited mindset and abundance mindset. Even I think I got that from like even Carol Dweck. I think she has the book Grit, and she says, like, I think she called it a fixed mindset, or something else, like something else, the other opposite of the fixed. Like you believe in hope and more. There's always more in abundance. And yeah, I agree. Like there's always more. There's always enough. We can feel as orphans sometimes where there's not enough. We have to steal and grab, and that unfortunately is very common in business. But is actually, when we actually reject that, people actually want to help each other out, and it's way better. So. And one thing, I'm going to ask a question. There's anthologies there. I'll get into anthologies later. But I want to ask the question: what are some areas that you collaborate? So we're in marketing, and so I would love you to put in the chat or anything. Just kind of, what are some areas you collaborate on? What, even if you want to cross-pollinate, share your stuff. Obviously, we could be marketing, and who knows, people actually might like your stuff. So normally I would ask this live and we talk about it and collaborate live, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to drop that in the chat. You just never know. Go read the other comments and see who else is commenting. You might find your next collaboration partner. Like I said, you're helping people write books. I get them on stages at the UN. I mean, there's collaboration right there, right? So there is opportunities everywhere. You just kind of have to look and open your eyes and open your mind to the possibilities.
Exactly. So then I'll just end with my invitation, and this is something that I am currently doing. It's called Relational Marketing with an Anthology. So as a writer, I've been wanting to do this for years. Where I did it one time before, where I brought a bunch of coaches together, and we all wrote a chapter each, and we marketed each other. We worked together for a year. I mentored people on how to write a chapter, and then we all shared the book with each other. So I think anthologies is really, really exciting, and it's one of the clearest examples of relationship marketing that I've seen. And I've recently, I'm doing, well, let me just go ahead and go to this next slide first, because this is what I'm doing currently right now. My next thing is I've teamed up with a woman, a life coach and alignment coach, Sally, and we're doing a free workshop, and you can do the QR code right there. Our next project is going to be the Beauty from Ashes workshop. And you can sign up for free, and we teach more about how to tell your story. This one specifically about kind of a Christian themed in a lot of ways, but what God did from your painful past. We both had painful past, and we have different people that God has brought us out of it. So this is going to happen if you are watching it live or recording fairly soon, September 26th at 5:30. And you can find the link there and come join us. But this is a part of a bigger anthology. And so we're going to then move into, like I mentioned before, every writer contributing one chapter. I will be mentoring on how to write a story, how to do teaching, how to do application, how to craft your story, how to edit, how to, carry your book across the finish line. Over the course of 1 year, each author or each contributor will write one chapter, and then we'll publish it by next year. So it's it's very simple. It's very doable. We're going to meet once a month. It's not very cumbersome, and we'll basically be writing one chapter for the whole year, and then we'll write in the back of the book or at the end of your chapter information about yourself, and we'll be marketing this book and sharing with other people. So our next theme is the Beauty for Ashes, and that's going to happen after the workshop. So the workshop's going to be on Friday the 26th, but then 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, I believe, in October, we're starting our project. But if you watch this later, go to that link there, abovethesun.org/collaborative book. We'll have various themes from time to time. We're hoping to do this at least once a year, maybe even twice. And so be looking at future themes. And we're going to...
And when you say beauty, what was the theme of this one?
Beauty from Ashes. That's the next one that I'm doing.
So what? Oh, there you go. Are you going to explain what that means?
Yeah. So basically, Beauty from Ashes is kind of it comes from the scripture that God will give us beauty from ashes, and it's open ended. This is what's beautiful about collaboration projects, is that we don't want to define it perfectly, but if you had a story from your past, even what we shared recently early on, if you had a story of transformation, it doesn't have to be Christian, but it's something of hope, right? So you've had ashes, you've had pain in your life, something that's happened to you that you have overcome, and now you're living a better life, not because of that or even in spite of it, but something kind of in the middle. Like, I believe that life doesn't always get easier. We get stronger. And so whether that is, I don't know, name things, divorce, death, anything somewhat painful from your life, or not, entirely painful, something that you just overcome, it's across the gamut, right? And so we're going to team up. It is faith-based, but it doesn't have to be a directly faith-based story.
Right. I was just thinking while you were talking, Jesse, right? There's things in our lives that we've overcome. And like I said, if you've stuffed it down, it's something you don't talk about, it's probably a great topic for this. And we get to choose. We may not get to choose what happens to us in life, but we get to choose how we want to respond to it.
Exactly.
And so that choice on how you chose to respond over time, it may not have been immediate, like you talked earlier about your storytelling, right?
Yeah.
It may not be something that you immediately saw, boom, problem solved in 5 minutes, right? It could be a journey that you went on in your life, and other people can relate to that, right? You and I talk about community and how community is so important. And I know for me, I lost my brother when I was young. I lost my daughter in the same accident. And so for me, that was a transformational. I don't think I've ever felt so alone in my entire life, even though I was surrounded by family and friends, right? There's an emotional side to that you just, right? And so I know for me, one of the reasons why community is so important, why building that community and authentic relationships, is because of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly, so you're sort of exactly one of the things we're looking for in a lot of ways. And so if you guys have a story that is similar, we're starting, even if you missed the workshop this Friday, then you can still go to this website, abovethesun.org/collaborative book, and we'll be starting sometime in October. So we're actually greatly reducing the price of mentorship. Normally, it can be thousands, of dollars to write your own book. We're doing 12 sessions over the course of the year, where me and Sally are going to be personally teaching on various aspects of the publishing process. You'll see the whole publishing process. We're even going to teach on crowdfunding, because we're actually keeping it down low. We're doing the first part is going to be just the mentoring and writing your story, and then we're hoping to crowdfund the rest. And so there is a deposit, and you can see all the information on there, but then we'll crowdfund the rest to kind of cover the cost of editing, professional publishing, and everything like that. So
Yeah, if you've been thinking about writing something and you've got something on your heart that you've been wanting to share, but sometimes life gets so busy, right? And so we don't always have time to focus in and dedicate. But this sounds like a nice, slow, gentle process to be able to go through. So you're not trying to frantically write something really quick, right? Because the deadline's next week, right? This gives us you a chance to experience the process, but in a flow that makes sense for your schedule, right? So you're not trying to panic and do things fast, right? So this is something you've been wanting to do, but you're thinking, I don't have the time, I don't have the talent, I don't have the energy, right? This might be a good option to kind of just gently ease into the publishing world. You might find that you really like it.
Exactly. Absolutely. And we also have even upsells as well. If you did want to write a book alongside of it, if you're gung ho, then we can actually help you do that, and a lot of things. And so yeah, like Kirsty said, like just absolutely come and join us. We'd love to have you. So, and that about ends it. So this is me. I'm Jesse Rivas. You can email me at team@abovethesun.org. Again, that's sun.org. There's a QR to book an appointment with me, or just email me. And
yeah, so if this is something you want to talk about, maybe you caught this later, right? Maybe you didn't catch it in time for these workshops. You looked at the website and you're like, I really want to work with Jesse. Book that appointment with him. Get on his schedule. Have a conversation with him. This is the kind of stuff that he just loves. So have that conversation. Don't be afraid to step forward and step into your light, right? What's the legacy that you want to leave? What is it that's the theme for your life? And if this is something you want to explore, this is something you want to write about and talk about and bring that out and share it with the world, right? Authorship is a great way to do that. I'm going to encourage you to book that appointment with Jesse. This is a great chance to take that first step forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with us, Jesse. You mentioned so many different topics that I could see us turning into another broadcast, right?
Sure, love that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us. Like I said, I won't be surprised when we hear from our viewers saying, hey, can Jesse talk in more detail about, right? So feel free to drop that in the chat. We'll take a look and I'll see if I can persuade Jesse into coming back on the show and talking to us more about this.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to do that. So you guys have been the most
we'll take you up on that.
amazing community, and it's just been enjoyable. And so absolutely, I'm so honored to be a part of everything, and love to share my little piece, my little loaves with it.
Yeah, I'll be sharing your upcoming project too, because I've got some Christian authors or authors in progress or ones that have worked on books before that love this kind of stuff. So I'll share it out there too, because I know this is an opportunity, right? When you get to work with somebody who's got experience, that's published multiple books, that's worked with other authors, right? This is an opportunity to expand your knowledge base. So even if you've published before, right? Sometimes we can live in our own little space and not see the bigger possibilities. But this is a chance to work with a whole group, right? Get to know other authors and help develop that sense of community. So if that's something you've been wanting to do, this is a great chance to do that. We love community around here with Giver Marketing Network. I'm Christine Deane, and I'm team director for Giver Marketing. I've been involved for years. One of the things that I really like to help build that community is we do networking for marketers on Wednesdays. So if you are a marketer, maybe you're in the author space, maybe you're in the visibility space, maybe you're in PR, maybe it's media, whatever your marketing space is, don't be a lonelypreneur. Come hang out with us. This is a complete no-cost event. So if you hang out on Wednesdays, I'm in Texas, so it's 10 Central, but it's 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. But if you just go to givermarketing.com/networking, register once, save the link, and come hang out with us. Don't be a lonelypreneur. Come hang out with the rest of us, get to know the crew, and have some fun, build some relationships, and we're here to help. That's what we want to do. We want to gather the marketing community. So come be part of us, and we'll welcome you with open arms and smiling faces. So hopefully you can join us tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Jesse, thank you once again so much for being a guest on the show today.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
And we'll see you next time.
All right.